Hey, hello everybody, this is Purge, and I'm bringing you guys a very special thing. I'm going to be going over the changelog today. Quick little thing. How do you like my new webcam? I just got it for Christmas. It is actually Christmas Day that I'm recording this. But I'm going to try to get used to this format a little bit more, talking to a webcam instead of just like talking into my screen. But here is the changelog. I have it brought up on my other monitor, so I could actually... No, I think I'm going to keep my my monitor. I actually have two monitors, so this is one monitor, this is my other monitor, this is the one that my stuff is on. So I'm going to be looking over here while I look at the monitor and talk to you guys, but you will be able to look at me the whole time. So quick question about the webcam. It's like a pretty nice webcam, so there's one cool little feature that it had where it like follows my head. So for example, if I move like over here, it would adjust, it would turn or like square the picture up to where my head is instead. Since it's like an HD image, it just like shifts the pixels or something. Let me know if you guys want to do something like that. I can make an example video or something at some point, and you guys can know what it looks like, but for now I'm just going to leave it right on my face. But let's talk about this. This is really important, guys. If you haven't looked at a changelog before, I've been playing online video games for a really long time, competitive video games. I freaking love reading changelogs. And one other thing, I forgot to change this new program I had. It's called Flux. I'm going to disable for 1 hour, so we'll see if my desktop color changes. It does for me. I assume it does for you, so sorry about that. The colors weren't absolutely accurate, so... Anyways, here we go. So, going to be looking over all of these changes really quick. Like I said, I've been playing online video games for such a long time. I've always been competitive, and I love reading changelogs. And I just want to kind of give you my changelog experience over the years, or at least like my analyzations. Now, if you guys are new to the Dota community, you don't necessarily appreciate Icefrog as much as an average player does, but I really need to honestly, I want to honestly explain to you of why him and his development team, he does work with a group of other volunteers, thanks to you guys as well, you don't get enough credit, why these guys do such an amazing job. So I'm going to just talk about these themes and things like that while we go over all of the heroes here. So, if we look over on my screen, you're going to hear me clicking a lot. Here we go, new intelligence heroes. There's 4 new heroes. That's the first thing I'm going over after I drink my water. We're actually like out of cups, so I have like freaking jam jars and shit to drink out of, whatever. Alright, here we go. Alright, Dragonis Skywrath Mage. Intelligence hero, 600 range, 350 movement speed, which is pretty fast. Starting damage is low, 36 to 46. 1 starting armor, which is low. His base strength gain is horrible, 1.5. His agility gain is horrible at 0.8. Those are really, really low. The intelligence gain is quite high, 3.2 here. And other than that, let's look at the other dudes, or his skills. Alright, Arcane Bolt active means that he casts a spell when he wishes to cast it. The Sky Mage fires off a bolt of arcane energy to harm his adversaries, deals an additional 1.5 times the Sky Mage's intelligence, and grants 325 vision around the projectile. This basically means that as you come into the late game, you want to get items that increase your intelligence. That's always important. You have to look at those interactions between the hero and the abilities. And if you guys haven't already realized this, I'm going to basically theory craft the crap out of this entire changelog. I have not played this version yet at all. I've only read it over twice before this moment of making the video. I read it once yesterday morning, so that was Christmas Eve morning, and I read it once again last night, Christmas Eve night. So I've only read it twice so far. This is all theory craft. I've read very, very little of opinions from other people. I'm going to tell you exactly what my impressions were upon the first time reading it, or just I'm going to talk about a lot of theory crafting. So for this example, he does extra damage with more intelligence. He does a really good int gain, but this means that you're probably going to want to boost up his int gain with items. So here's some more specific numbers: 60, 80, 100, 120, plus that 1.5. And the most important part is his really low cooldown at level 4. So I'm not really sure how this works yet. It does say that the projectile speed moves very slowly, so I'm going to have to see this in game and check it out just to see how powerful it is. It looks like it could be really, really cool, especially on somebody that's not moving. Could land like a couple of these, or I mean, you could use that new item. We'll talk about the later. There's an item that makes you slow. There's an item that stuns. There's a couple cool items. You could do things like that just to like boost these abilities together, but it's a pretty cool ability. Concussive Shot here. With dragon-like tuition, the Skywrath Mage releases a compact ball of magical lightning at the closest visible hero within 1600 AoE. Upon impact, the ball bursts, slowing enemies by 40% for 4 seconds and dealing damage around the target. So this is basically like Heat-Seeking Missile that Tinker has. You press the button. Once again, guys, haven't tried any of these heroes. This is my assumption. Use the ability, shoots off a ball, hits a random guy, slows for 40% for 4 seconds, and does damage. The AoE is quite small. I think 200 is... Actually, that's a pretty decent AoE, I think. I'm trying to imagine that as a diameter, or as a radius, and that's pretty big, unless AoE is the diameter. I don't know. I'll have to check that out. It's a decent enough AoE, probably. 4 duration, slow, it does damage, 200 damage, and the cooldown is the important part. 20 seconds, so pretty mediocre cooldown, but not bad at all. Good for taking last hits or, you know, initiating, things like that. Mana cost 110, pretty reasonable. Does not work when no heroes are in range or heroes are in fog, so it only works on heroes, just like Heat-Seeking Missile. Third ability, active enemy target. Draws Mystical Rune on the enemy that amplifies all spell damage against them and snuffs out their ability to cast spells for a few seconds. So this is a silence. It gives you magic amplification, 18 to 36%, and it has a silence duration. So this is a pretty interesting spell. There's actually a lot of silences added to the patch, basically. But this one boosts up your magic damage, so you could do some magic nuker combos with this hero, and provided with silence. I mean, it's heroes like these that in some ways are good against. This would be a good example of a hero who is pretty good against anti-mage. Both gives you the silence and the magic amp damage. Now, it doesn't do a lot at low levels. 3-second silence isn't that much, but the magic amplification damage can really make a big difference if you couple that with other abilities. Now, it is only on one hero. Cooldown is 11. What is the duration? I guess it's the same as the silence duration, so up to 6. So it's like 50% up. Mana cost is reasonable. Cast range is pretty normal. So I think that's a pretty cool spell. And any synergies so far, Concussive Shot with Ancient Seal would be really good. If there's one hero, you know it's going to hit him, then you also cast Ancient Seal. He takes a lot of bonus damage, he's slowed, and while he's slowed for 4 seconds, you can hit him with at least 2 Arcane Bolts, hopefully, assuming he's pretty close range. Once again, I don't know the projectile speed. Let's check out his ultimate. Uses his ultimate magic ability to conjure a precise and violent mystical field that lays waste to his adversaries, deals massive damage distributed evenly among any heroes in the AoE over 2 seconds. So 600, 900, 1200 damage. It's a really cool ability. I thought, man, this could be really powerful. 2 duration seconds. The AoE is 170, so this is smaller than the Concussive Shot. Cast range is 1200. Mana cost is really expensive. Wow, 800 at level 3. He does have a huge int gain though, so hypothetically, it's not a big deal. Cooldown is 20 seconds at level 3. That's a really low cooldown. Wow. Does not affect or count creeps. Deals damage over time in the area. So basically, it reminds me of Sunstrike on Invoker's ability. You do an AoE on the ground, and it explodes, and it splits its damage out across people. So if there's less people, they take all the damage. This could be a really powerful nuke. It's over 2 seconds though, so that's a pretty long duration. You're gonna have to couple that with a stun or possibly a disable. His slow could maybe get the job done. His slow plus something else would probably be more ideal, but he is a ranged hero, so let's think about some options for a second. This hero sounds like he is countered by a Force Staff, kind of like Ancient Apparition, because you could get out of the Mystic Flare if you're worried about getting solo killed. Anybody else that's getting Mystic Flared could get Force Staffed out, stuff like that. And as that hero, once again, what is his name? Dragonus Skywrath Mage. He's going to want them to stay in that circle. So what would be items that he wants? Sheep Stick would get the job done. That's pretty expensive though. More importantly, I think he'd be best off just having allies help him. I'm trying to think of any like hard disable items that are kind of inexpensive, and I can't really think of anything. There's lots of obvious like allies that would make the job much easier, but not really sure how useful he would be in some other situations. But really cool abilities, and definitely a lot of strength for it to be, or a lot of potential for it to be really powerful if somebody uses it right. So that's that hero. I'm going to close him out here. Unshow. Alright, next hero, Zin Ember Spirit. Agility hero. This guy's pretty cool. 310 movement speed, it's a little high. 128 attack range, he is a melee hero. Pretty good base damage, 52 to 56. 3 starting armor, which is not bad. Strength gain is pretty good, 2.0. Agility is 1.8, and intelligence is 1.8. So his agility gain isn't that amazing. Searing changes his first ability, active no target. It unleashes up to 3 fiery bolas that wrap around nearby enemies, anchoring them in place and dealing damage each second. So 400 AoE, which is, you know, 2/3 of a regular ranged attack hero. Duration is 2-2-3-3 based on the level, and 40, 60, 80, 100 DPS. So I can do 300 damage to 3 heroes within 400 AoE. The cooldown is pretty low, 14, 12, 10, 8. So you could actually dish out pretty good AoE damage with this ability. I actually really like the sound of this hero. He sounds really cool. Note: selects 3 random enemies within the area, does not affect magic immune or invisible heroes, and does not prevent attacks or spell casting. So basically it just means the heroes don't move. You can cast it every cooldown worth. It hits them, they stop moving, they take damage. That's about it. But it has a pretty low cooldown. The mana cost is 110, which is decent enough. His int gain is not bad, I think. I'd have to compare that with some other heroes, but it's not bad. I could see that ability being really cool, especially working with some of his other abilities. Sleight of Fist, Active, dashes around with blazing speed, attacking all enemies in the target AoE, and returns to where he was standing after. You deal 50% less damage to creeps. You're invulnerable during the process. Takes 0.2 seconds to attack per unit. So bonus attack damage 30, 60, 90, 120 per level. There's an AoE change, cast range, mana cost, cooldown decrease 6. Cooldown, that's really low here. I'm not completely sure how this works. It seems pretty strong. It sounds like Omni Slash. Basically, you hit everybody with this bonus damage in the AoE, and that is going to be physical, I assume. And this basically means that as that hero, you're going to want to buff up big damage items. You don't necessarily want attack speed because you're going to be using Sleight of Fist probably, and a lot of AoE from Searing Chains. Just hold people in position and continue to nail them with Sleight of Fist. That's probably what's going to be going on. I'd have to see the ability in action. It sounds a little powerful right now just because the cooldown is 6 seconds. I don't think I saw that the first time through. But it does look pretty good. Pick up like even something like a Radiance might be cool, or something like, I don't know, maybe if you can get bashes or something, that'd be sweet as well. But we'll see. There could be a lot of good possibilities with these items. He is an agility hero, so it kind of gives him options. But I think something like a big damage item is going to be better, like a Monkey King Bar or a Crit Stick, more than something like a Butterfly. Third ability, Flame Guard, surrounds himself with a ring of fire that consumes incoming magic damage, leaving him unharmed, deals DPS and a 400 AoE. If the shield is dispelled, the DPS buff goes away. So the shield does damage over time, 30, 35, 40, 45. Doesn't scale that amazing, but the magic shell is the good part. 150, 300, 450, 600. So this is like a pipe. I really like this ability. It looks awesome. There's the duration, 20 seconds at max level, and it costs mana. Cooldown is 35. I think this spell is awesome as shit. I'm really happy with this. Basically, it turns him into like a tank. It's like, hey, hit me. If you don't hit me, my shield is going to do damage over time with you. If you don't break my magic shell, it's going to keep doing damage over time. 45 is not that much, but the AoE is 400. Once again, the same as his chains. So do the chains, do the Flame Guard. You're standing next to 3 heroes who can't move. They're probably going to cast or attack you. Turn on the Flame Guard, get some defense, and do a little bit of damage. So it's kind of an interesting ability. He might be like kind of a weird like agility tank, possibly something like that. That would be pretty interesting. All right, Fire Remnant. It's kind of hard for me to understand this one without seeing it in action, but basically he can charge up to 3 of these Fire Remnants, stores them on himself. When he releases it, he sends one of the remnants, and they run to a targeted point at 2.5 times your speed. Then he uses a secondary ability to dash out to each remnant's location, detonating them for AoE damage, and arriving at the one he targeted last. So they last 45 seconds or until he fuses them, whatever that means. And the remnant placing ability is limited by charges and not cooldown or mana cost. So placing the remnants doesn't do anything. It just runs them to that location, and then he's allowed to go to them, but that costs mana. Charges are up to 3, the replenish time is 30 seconds, the remnant duration is 45 seconds, and that's really long, wow. And the cast range is pretty high. 1500 is quite a long duration, or quite a long range. The second ability lets you target location closest to whichever remnant you choose, then he'll dash out through each remnant, arriving at the selected remnant last. Each remnant you go through causes it to detonate, dealing damage in the area around it. So you could like cast 3 of these on a battle, and then use the ability on the most left one, or like at the farthest away battle point. So then you just like launch through the team fight and do a little bit of AoE, and the damage they do is pretty good. 140, 180, 220. Obviously really good if you do 3 at once. I don't know how fast it would be to do 3 in the same spot and just do like a shitload of magic damage. That would be really cool. But I expect it's probably not too hard to use, especially, I mean, it might be a little tricky micro-wise, but I mean, if you can do immobilize people and then drop that around the battle and do those, that'd be pretty cool. AoE 450, mana cost for each revenant is 100. Or I'm sorry, just 100, because it just costs 100 to use it. So kind of an interesting ability. We'll see how well that works. It does look very, very good. So before I go on to the next 2 heroes, I just want to point out quickly, how awesome are these heroes, guys? Like, every single hero so far, extremely unique. It's like it's kind of weird for me to think about how they're good. Like, man, this is like how the heroes have been. I understand that there's so many heroes in the pool, and that it's really hard to make creative new heroes, or at least like heroes that aren't just like rehashes with the same old abilities. I mean, how many heroes can you make that just have a single target stun? It'd be boring at some point. And like Icefrog in this team is doing a really great job. This is just 2. There's 2 more awesomely interesting heroes that we still haven't gone over, so let's continue. Rizrak, Goblin Shredder, while I drink water. I think I'm going to need to run out in the middle of going over this because it's so long. Rizrak, the Goblin Shredder. If you played Warcraft 3, he cut down trees. He's a strength hero here. Melee, 290 movement speed, which is pretty low. Strength is 2.4. That's the main gain. I mean, we can look at the base strats, guys. I didn't mention this before, but the gain over time is really what's important. This tells you how much HP and how much stats you're going to have in the mid game. So sorry I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the base stats. Generally, the gains are the most important ones. This is every level up, you get 2.4 strength, basically. 1.8 agility, I'm sorry. Ooh, this one's actually out of order. Were they all like this? This one's just out of order. There are a couple bugs I noticed. So strength is 2.4, agility is 1.8, int is 1.8, agility is 1.3. So his agility gain is very low, but his HP is good, and his mana is pretty good as well. Base damage is pretty decent, his armor is 0. There's not a lot of heroes with 0 armor. That is pretty much just Tiny and Phoenix, if I remember correctly. I might be missing one, but I think those are some of the only 2 heroes that actually have 0 armor. Alright, Whirling Death, active, no target. Whirls extremely sharp edges, dealing damage, reducing primary attribute of any unfortunate enemy hero who comes within a 300 AoE around him. Deals pure damage, which is very, very unique, if it cuts down trees in the process. Lowers primary attribute by 15% for 7 seconds. So, does magical damage by default. If it cuts down trees as well, it becomes pure damage. I assume this lowers primary attribute by 15% means for enemies. I'm gonna assume, I assume that's the case. Yeah, any enemy hero 300 range. So when you use this, it has an AoE of 300, which is decent. If you cut down a tree as well, it does pure damage instead of magic. And why this is important is pure damage scales much better to the late game. Pure is actually not as good early game because most people don't have a ton of magic resistance or they don't necessarily have a lot of armor. So pure damage is really good for like people who either have a hood or like a Shiva's. So high armor, high magic resistance, low HP heroes. Pure damage is going to destroy them. So if we look at the numbers here, they're actually quite low. 50, 100, 150, 200. That's actually very, very low numbers for a scalable nuke. At level 4, 200 damage is low. But if it's pure, that means it's going to, on average, be more mediocre across the board, because otherwise it would be overpowered. But it will have its strengths. It's going to be good for heroes like Dragon Knight or Anti-Mage. That's 200 pure damage. That does not get reduced, so that's a pretty big deal. There are some pure damage abilities in the game, but there's not a whole shitload. Mana cost 100, level 4, cooldown is 8. Pretty cool skill. I think it's pretty standard. Doesn't look weird at all. One quick thing, sorry, I forgot to mention what items I would get on Zen the Ember Spirit. Sorry, I'm off track like this. I would get tank items and damage items. So I'd get like Vanguard, probably maybe Phase Boots, something like that. But basically tank and damage items. If you get a lot of physical armor, stuff like that, I feel like his shield would be adequate for most spellcasters. So maybe you could build him tanky, get like a Vanguard pipe or something, but I don't know, we'll see. I haven't put a lot of thought into his item build. Alright, sorry, back to that. Rizrak Goblin Shredder. Continuing. Timba Chain. Fires a chain that embeds itself in the first tree it hits, pulling you to it and cutting any enemy in your path for, once again, pure damage. So he's like the pure damage hero, man. 225 AoE. The range is pretty acceptable. This is like a Pudge range hook, I believe. I don't know if Pudge goes... I think Pudge goes up to like 1200. I don't play Pudge very often, I'm sorry. 1400 is pretty long though. 80, 120, 160, once again 200 damage on pure damage. Cooldown is 4 seconds. This kind of amazed me. And 90 mana cost at max level. So kind of interesting. You will not be pulled in if you are stunned when the chain latches onto a tree. I don't really know what the movement speed of the chain is. I would have to see this in action, but it seems pretty awesome. It seems like it would be kind of hard for allies to get away from you, and that as a result, because of the tree interaction, this guy would be much better on a sideline. You would probably not want to solo him middle. It's kind of like soloing mid roof trail, and there's no trees to escape to. So, we'll see. Reactive armor passive. Every physical attack made on Rizrak increases his armor and gives him bonus HP regen. Each stack lasts for 16 seconds. So you get 1 armor and 1 HP regen per stack, and here's the stack limit. So this means if somebody attacks you once, they are guaranteed basically to regen 16 HP of the damage you do to them. So this is really important. If you get something like a Stout Shield, or let's say you have a Vanguard and you get attacked every physical attack, man, I guess this counts for creeps. It doesn't say it's just heroes. So I'm assuming this counts for creeps. So this means, as this hero, I'm going to be getting a Vanguard every single game. I can guarantee you that right now. And the reason you do this is, you could tank a creep wave. You would be blocking 60%, 80% of their damage every hit they make, you're going to hit the stack limit easy, which means your armor is going to go up, which means you have more physical HP, more effective HP, and your regen goes up a shitload as well, which means that you're going to regen up any hits that they take to you. So the stack limit increases. You could have up to 16 HP per second for 16 seconds, which is actually a lot. I mean, if you can live for 16 seconds, man, that's like a little bit over 200 HP that you regen, which is a lot of HP. So he might be kind of like how Alchemist is played, very, very tanky, and staying in the team fight and casting Goblin Shredder constantly just to lower their primary attribute and make them easier to kill, stuff like that. So I think that's how they're going to end up playing how people are going to end up playing him. Probably Vanguard, armor items, maybe even a pipe. We'll see. Might need a little bit of mana cost. I think Arcane Boots would probably be pretty good on him, but we'll see how that goes. All right, his ultimate, Chakram, activatable target point, fires your main saw blade at the target location, then spin, then the blade spins there, deals damage in AoE, slows enemies by 5% for every 5% of health they're missing. So that means if they're missing 50%, I assume that's a 1-to-1 ratio, am I right? 5% for every 5% of health. So if they're missing 50% health, they're going to be slowed by 50%. So that means heroes that are almost dead are going to be extremely slow. Extremely slow. And even getting past like the 30% HP mark, that's a big deal. You could get somebody really, really, really slowed. Even like a 40% slow is a lot. That's a pretty big slow. Blade deals pure damage once again, cuts down trees in its path when fired and retracted. You lose the ability to attack while the blade is out, which is actually a very, very interesting fact about it. So hypothetically, it would kind of make your tanking situation weird because people are probably not going to attack you if they're not in the blade and you don't have it. So we'll see how that ends up working out. Pass-through damage is 100, 140, 180. I don't know if that's pure. That might actually... Did it say it's pure? Yeah, pure once again. DPS, there it is. 100 DPS damage is possible. Damage per second while it's sitting there. So if you could do something like a Chronosphere, I don't know if it gets interacted with Chronosphere or not, but if you could, that is ridiculously good, man. Chronosphere would be awesome. Puck ulti would be awesome. Stuff like that would be really cool. I'd also love to see Torn Chieftain get coupled with this guy, lower their HP down by like 33%, and then like drop this thing on them with a puck ulti, or that would be really sexy. Cast range is pretty high. Mana cost goes up. Mana cost per second. He does have a mana cost per second, so you can't just do it forever. And there's an 8-second cooldown. Returns you if you go more than 2,000 units away, destroys trees. So I assume you can do this endlessly. It doesn't really say there's a duration. You just need to be able to have mana to support it. So that is that dude. So that's the last hero. Once again, I would go tank items, maybe Arcane Boots, because he's probably going to have a little bit of mana problems, I would guess. And other than that, mostly tank items, I think. And lots of mana regen, I think. But once again, just a guesstimation. Maybe some kind of a disable ability. He's a strength hero. So next new hero, Tresden Legion Commander. This guy's pretty interesting. Water time. Alright, here we go. 128 range, that's melee, 310 movement speed, starting damage is 5761, very high base damage. 3 starting armor, pretty standard. Big strength gain, 2.6. Agility gain is pretty good, 1.7. And int gain, 2.2. Overwhelming odds, active ground target. Turns the enemy's numbers against them, dealing damage, granting you 9% movement speed per hero and 3% per unit in the 315 AoE for 7 seconds. Deals bonus damage to illusions and summon units. So pretty interesting ability. Does bonus damage to illusions and summon units, which is already going to be useful against heroes like Phantom Lancer or heroes like Anti-Mage even. I mean, it's probably not going to kill his illusions because Anti-Mage has so much HP. But it'd be cool, man. Either way, it's basically kind of like Torn Chieftain's Ancestral Spear, which gives you movement speed and damage, except it gives you movement speed, just a shitload of movement speed, and it does damage. So you can cast on a big group of units, you'll get movement speed per units and per heroes, and 315 AoE for 7 seconds. So it makes you very, very fast here. 240 damage plus 10 damage per unit, which is pretty cool. So it does extra damage if there's more units in there. So you could do some really cool stuff with the vacuum, I'm sure. That would be pretty fun. Summon unit bonus damage is 50% of units HP. Cool stuff. So I guess it just halves the summon unit's HP, which is really cool. I really like that. And the cast range is 1,000. That is a really, really long cast range. Really long cast range. That's really fast. Or really far. Movement bonus speed, yeah. Last 7 seconds. We got it. 18-sec cooldown, 100 mana. Pretty cool ability. Press the attack. Removes all debuffs and disables from the targeted ally and grants them bonus attack speed and health regen for 4 seconds. Attack speed is 60, 80, 100, 120. Health regen is 30, 40, 50, 60. That's per second. That's a lot. And here's the duration, 4 seconds. So if you want to know how much that heals, multiply the duration by the health regen. At level 4, you are regenerating 240 HP over 4 seconds. This is a really, Really cool ability. So far, based on these 2 abilities alone, this guy is awesome, guys. Seriously. He could be played as a support hero. He could be played as like a tank support. It's like aphotic shield, basically. That is Lord of Avernus. I don't know what they're going to call him. What's his other name? Can't remember what his other name is. I'm sorry. Abaddon. That's what it is. Abaddon. Abaddon's shield removes buffs and gives them like an armor shield, basically. And this is going to basically remove buffs, give them attack speed and health regen. So really good for carries in a team fight. Or you could cast it on yourself. Yep, you can self-target. Okay. Mana cost, etc. Pretty cool ability. Moment of Courage is a passive. When he is attacked, he has a chance to gain a Moment of Courage, instantly attacking it with bonus lifesteal. 16, 18, 20, 22% chance. This is, and with big lifesteal, 20, 40, 60, 80. This is like Axe's, what is it called? Spin? I don't remember the exact name. Basically, there's a percent chance that he's going to get a hit back and get a bunch of lifesteal. So this means, as a hero, he's probably going to want tank and strength items. Strength items will increase his proc, basically, or his attack. How much he hits, and if he hits harder, he lifesteals more. I would pretty much guarantee you guys that we're going to see a lot of Sanj and Yashas on this guy in pub games. Primarily, just Sanjas. I would love to see a Sanj. Every time somebody hits you, 22%, that you're going to hit him back. I don't know if it's for melee heroes only. I guess maybe ranged. That would be kind of weird, but if it's ranged heroes as well, man, you could like Sanj proc on the whole enemy team. It's a lower chance, 22% chance for you to even hit them, and then there's like a 15% chance to Sanj proc. But I would love to see something like a Sanj on him. That would be really cool. Tank plus strength items. His ultimate ability, really, really controversial. I saw a couple places where people thought it was like kind of weird. Dual active enemy target hero means you get to use it. Calls the target enemy for a duel. Both you and the enemy will be forced to attack each other, and it will both be unable to use items or abilities. The victor gains 10 permanent bonus damage. 4.75, 5.5 second duration. Dual winner bonus damage is 10 damage. So if you win, you get 10 damage, period. 50 cooldown, 75 mana cost. Cast range is 100. That's basically less than melee range. And the loser of the duel is the hero that dies while under the buff. There's no victor if both heroes are alive at the end of the duration. So I assume this means that if you're dueling a guy and your ally just kills him, the damage is gone. Like, I mean, you get the damage. You get 10 damage. It doesn't matter if you kill him. I assume that's what it means. It doesn't say that specifically, but I'm assuming that's the case. And this ability could be really cool. People are talking about him being an anti-carry as a result. Like, you could gank a carry, bring him with, take 10 damage off of somebody. That would make a difference over the course of the game. I mean, not like anything super huge, but it would actually help out a lot. So I'd love to see how that ends up impacting the game. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty low count. We're going to see a lot of noobs playing this hero. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be a lot of noobs getting S and Y on this hero and just like pulling victories and going a lot of lifesteal. I don't think you should get lifesteal. I think this is good enough. The Moment of Courage is going to regen him. I would say I would probably get Treads Sanj Vanguard, maybe something like that with a little bit of mana. He doesn't really need a lot of mana. He basically has 2 abilities to cast plus his ultimate. Really doesn't need a lot. I think he could get by with maybe just like a Basilius and a wand, or a wand urn would probably be really good. I think a wand urn would be really good. But when he does use his ultimate, he can't cast any other spells, which basically means you're probably going to want to like cast your regen ability and then duel a guy, and also make sure you have a lot of damage. So maybe even like a Stygian Desolator would be really good. Lower their armor so you can like burst them down a little bit faster. Pretty cool here though. I can't wait to play him. He's gonna be fun. Alright, and that's it for the new heroes. So I hope you guys like that. I think I just talked about all the things that I think will be awesome about them. That's pretty much it for the new heroes, and now we basically have buffs. So before I go into that stuff, let me just talk about, once again, like, how cool were those heroes? Every single ability was unique. Every single one. This is the stuff that literally makes Dota playable for years. It's like, just when you're getting bored, like, I can't remember when the last update was. I don't think there's dates on the index here, but like, you know, it's been months for sure. It's been half a year probably before we saw the last changes to the metagame or any new additions, and all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, I'm playing a new game. I mean, it's not that much newer, but it really does make the game a lot more fun. Balancing out all the heroes that aren't fun to play, giving new heroes, changing the metagame on the pro level, really cool stuff like that. Like, it's literally why the game is surviving, because of awesome developers like Icefrog. And before I get into the actual numbers, Let me explain this with an example. I used to play City of Villains. It was an MMO. It was like the counteractive to City of Heroes. I played that game I was subscribed to that game for like 27 months total. That was like the game I played the first 2 years of college, 2 to 3 years before I moved to Dota. Like I moved from City of Heroes and then I started playing Dota really heavily when I was about 3/4 of the way through college, about there. In that game, I played PvP. PvP was not very common. It was very hard to learn. And basically what the developers did, and they didn't really develop or balance things in terms of like numbers. They basically just cut PvP down and they reworked it completely. As a design standpoint, this is a horrible thing to do because anybody that's enjoying the game is basically never just going to get disenfranchised, which is exactly what happened to me. I played that game a shitload. I sold my account for $200. I said, fuck you, and I was gone. So I never played that game again. Never gone back. You don't want to do this when you make balance updates. You want to make very, very slight things. It's also very much like economics. You don't want to encourage people. You don't want to raise or lower the interest rate by giant percentages. You want to slightly give incentive for people to encourage them to do stuff, basically. If you, let's say for example, you think this item is really valuable, but nobody uses it, you just want to slightly buff it, because then everybody's going to read the changelog and be like, oh, that item's slightly better now. Maybe it's cost efficient for me to finally use it. Or maybe Alchemist is slightly better now. Maybe he's worth playing now. Maybe he's worth playing on a professional level. And this is what you do as a developer, which is something that Icefrog does freaking fantastically with his development team. They just slightly buff heroes that are underused. They slightly nerf heroes that are overpowered generally. Sometimes this does apply to pub levels, but more often than not, it's just on the professional level. So we're going to keep that in mind while I go over this. And just pay attention to those things I just said. Slight changes. You don't want to just destroy a hero because he's overpowered, because anybody who plays that hero is going to be pissed off as hell. And you never want to do that to your community base. So let's look over the numbers now. Alchemist. These are his changes. Rage base attack time reduced from 1.45. This is the scaling. This basically means he attacks a little bit faster. Just a little bit faster on average. His Goblin Greed bonus limit increased from 18 to 26, which is actually a pretty modest buff. So Alchemist underplayed right now completely. He was popular maybe a year and a half ago, a year ago, something like that. He was a hard carry, and it basically went from Alchemist to Morphling, and then Morphling to Anti-Mage is kind of how it went. You know, there was a point in time where he was the hard carry, because he would farm really hard. Alright, Anti-Mage, here's the nerf to the hardest carry, the most imbalanced carry in the game, who has a really big win ratio. They reverted the previous buff to him that basically helped him become popular. Reverted the base attack time improvement, BAT, from 1.35 to 1.45. By increasing that number, he basically attacks a little bit slower. I don't know the math for that. You guys are going to have to look that up. I literally don't know much about BAT, so guys, go look that up. But basically be aware that he's going to attack slower throughout the entire game, I'm pretty sure. And finally, armor reduced by 1. Just 1. Not 6, not 3, not 2, 1. Slightly reduces attack speed, slightly reduces armor. They don't want to make the hero unplayable, they want to make the hero balanced, and that's really important. So we're going to move on. 1 armor, though, 6% estimated or effective HP against physical attacks. That's all he's really being lowered. This is basically going to make him slightly easier to kill to physical attacks. Magic, still going to be a pain in the ass, but his armor will go down a little bit. So physical attacks is going to be the way to beat him. Axe got a bunch of changes. Aghanim's Culling Blade cooldown from 10 to 6. That's why I was confused. I thought they changed it. I thought it was like a typo. That's for Aghanim. So Aghanim's going from 10 to 6, very low cooldown ability. Base int from 14 to 18, which is a pretty big buff. This is a big buff. I was talking about int gains before, but this means that at level 1, he gets 4 extra int. Every int gives 13, so that's 26 times 2. That is 52 more intelligence at level 1. This is basically as a result of trying to make Battle Hunger more cost efficient. It's an ability that almost never gets used because it wasn't very good. Base HP regen increased from 1.25 to 2. This is a big deal. Pretty much everybody's base HP regen is like 0.75. Axe is now up to 2. He was already previously at 1.25, now he's up to 2. It's a pretty big deal. So that's pretty cool. He's going to be more likely to be able to jungle. He's basically a completely unplayed hero at the professional level, so this is why he's getting buffed. He owns the crap out of pubs, but on a professional level he does not get played. Alright, he gets a movement speed bonus, 4% per target it affects on Battle Hunger. And Berserker's Call goes down cooldown 14 to 10. Counter Helix damage. Alright, so I guess that's it for Battle Hunger. I thought there were more buffs to that. But basically, if you cast on a team fight, more movement speed means more likely to get the Counter Helixes off, stuff like that. So, pretty cool stuff. He's basically trying to make Battle Hunger more viable. Increases mana pool, which is basically why you couldn't spam Battle Hunger before. And as you spam it on multiple people, you get movement speed bonuses. If they can't get last hits, he's going to be moderately fast. So, pretty cool stuff. Counter Helix damage increased. Basically, the max is slightly capped up at 190, and the third skill is slightly bigger, second skill negligibly better. Counter Helix proc cooldown decreased. That's actually pretty interesting. Just slightly increasing means he could do more damage per second. Very, very small numbers. I haven't done the math on this, but very, very slight increase. And if Culling Blade kills a unit, Axe unleashes a War Cry, giving nearby ally units 600 AoE, which is big, a temporary movement speed bonus. 25% for 6 seconds. This is a big buff. 25% movement speed for 6 seconds. It's not hard for Axe to get at least 1 kill in a team fight. After that point, you kind of have to rely on your allies to do stuff, but with a movement speed bonus like that, watch out, dude. That's really cool. Just stuff like this. Throwing in cool creative stuff that's going to make the game more fun to play for anybody who really likes Axe. Alright. Bane Elemental movement speed increased from 305 to 315. Another completely underplayed hero. He is actually really good solo mid. Just never gets played. This is a hero that's not in Dota 2 if you guys are curious. And base strength agility int increased from 18, 18, 18 to 22, 22, 22. Just increases HP, his agility, and his int at level 1. I think all of his stats gain pretty darn equally. He's actually kind of an unusual hero. He isn't an intelligence hero, but this is good because his level 1 spells are actually very mana expensive. Bloodseeker Thirst is no longer partially reveals invisible heroes below 40% health. It now fully reveals invisible heroes below 20% health. So I guess regular heroes are still 40% below, I guess. And invisible heroes are just 20%, but it fully reveals them, which is kind of cool. Good for noobs, basically, because good players you look at the map, like you would see their icon on the map, but you didn't know where they were, so you'd have to go to that position, then auto-attack the ground, and then you would hit them. But it was not very noob-friendly. They'd be like, they wouldn't know where to go. So I think that's a very good change. The duration is improved. By the way, if you're wondering why Bloodseeker is getting so heavily buffed, it's because nobody plays him on a competitive level. The cooldown also scales more properly. So as a whole, Bloodseeker going to be a much better hero, which is a good thing. Once again, you want more variety in the metagame. Shit like this is basically going to take a pro team and be like, maybe we should play Bloodseeker now. Maybe Bloodseeker would actually work out in the mid game because Rupture has a much longer duration. Or Rupture has a much better cooldown, so you can spam it a little bit more fast. Or it's going to reveal invisible heroes now, so maybe if we're worried about countering that invisible hero, maybe we'll pick up Bloodseeker. And that's what's going to develop the metagame. That's what's going to keep the professional level of Dota more interesting. So that's really cool. Bone Fletcher, completely unused carry. Searing Arrows, I actually saw him solo mid against an Omni once, which was disgusting. It worked really good at shutting down the Omni. That was Dota 1, that was a long time ago. Searing Arrows no longer has a cooldown at level 1, which is pretty good. His attack speed bonus increased slightly. The movement speed bonus for Windwalk is also buffed a little bit. So Bone Fletcher, a pub hero, basically almost pretty much never picked up on a serious game because he doesn't actually contribute to the team fight other than auto attacking. It's kind of like a boring hero in that sense. But Bounty Hunter, track gold bonus for Bounty Hunter increased quite a bit. Doubles at level 1. Level 2 is a modest change, and level 3 a little bit as well. Just a modest change. He is in Dota 2. Those updates will be applied eventually, probably semi-soon, but another Bounty Hunter buff. But Bounty Hunter, once again, a pub hero, not really used at a professional level. Once in a while you see him, but it's weird. Probably out of all the unused carry heroes, Bounty Hunter is probably one of the more played, kind of. Bristleback, another Dota 1 hero that you guys haven't seen yet if you've only seen Dota 2. Cast point decreased from 0.5 to 0.4, attack point reduced, turn rate increased. This basically makes him a slightly better hero. He can cast without stopping, and he attacks a little bit faster, stuff like that. Attack points for orb walking, basically, so when you attack at the point when you can cancel your animation, that means that he can attack and move a little better. Better chasing, basically, which is good, because he is basically a chasing hero. Centaur Warchief, also not in Dota 2 Double Edge, cooldown decreased from 10 to 8. Very slight buff. I think Centaur could fit into the metagame, but he's a little weird because he's a melee hero, and he doesn't necessarily, he does kind of need farm. It's kind of weird. He doesn't really fit into a lot of laning setups, which I think is why he's not played. But he could see metagame play, which I agree with this very slight buff. Darkseer buffed pretty majorly. There was a point in time where Darkseer was like super imba. Everybody loved him. Ion Shell duration, this wasn't that long ago either. The durations increased from 15 to 20. AoE increased 225 to 250. This is all in Ion Shell. Cooldown increased actually from 7 to 10. and the damage is also increased. So the AoE increases, the duration increases, the cooldown increases slightly, but the damage increases. So basically you won't be able to spam it on multiple heroes as well, but you'll be able to keep it up on yourself. More mana efficient, which I think is really good. And also the wall of replica illusions are now semi-transparent to enemy players, which I think is probably pretty fair because it's kind of a clusterfuck if there's just tons of illusions. So I think that's fair. You can still kill them, but at least it's gonna be easier to tell. It won't just be like an absolute massacre if they don't have any AoE to destroy it. Purge is a hero, also known as Undying. He's not in Dota 2 yet. Really cool hero, probably top 20 favorite heroes. Flesh Golem cooldown decreased, slight buff to him. Decay cooldown also decreased, which is good. It's a very spammable spell. It's very good in the mid game if you max it pretty fast. So I like that buff. He could be seen a little bit more. Doombringer buffed as well. Scorch Earth duration increased. There's the numbers for that. Pretty basic stuff. Dragonite. This is the first change in the entire changelog that I disagreed with, where I looked at it and I was like, whoa, that's too strong. I think that hero is going to become imbalanced. Basically, before I even saw this line, I already felt like Dragonite was going to be the next hard carry. Like, he already can beat Anti-Mage. If you guys watched my Dragonite video, I screwed it up. Like, I wanted to show stacking and pulling, so I'm not happy with the gameplay. I could have played it much better. But he's basically a hard carry. He's like a semi-carry hard carry. He's basically a semi-carry slash hard carry who has a nuke, an AoE nuke, Dragon Breath 300 damage. He has a stun, of which is a huge duration, 2.5 stun seconds at level 1, 3.25 at level 4, I believe. Really, really long duration stun. That's huge. 3-second stun on whoever you want, and it always hits. Really good. And he's hard to kill. He's got armor, and his ulti is really good at killing towers. His level 6 ulti does 20 damage per second to towers with poison damage, which basically means he's a hard carry who can do AoE, he can stun, he has survivability. It's not as good as Blink, but Dragon Blood is good. And he can kill towers at level 6. He is so good, but he's a little underplayed. I talked to Gods about it. He's another Ghost Gamers caster. He basically said he's already a top pick in Chinese Dota scenes. And it makes sense. Like, he has the ability to be awesome. He can tri-lane, not necessarily as survivable as an Anti-Mage, but like, Anti-Mage can't take towers at level 6 with 4 creeps, you know? It's not going to happen. So I think this buff, this is the only thing in the whole changelog that I completely disagree with. His stun cast range is increased from 150 to 400 when he's in his ultimate form. It doesn't make a big impact on the early game at all. It doesn't change the early game. It just means when he's in a team fight in the mid game, he's less reliant on something like a Blink Dagger or a Lothar's to get his stun off, which I guess is good. That's a good thing, but I already felt like he was very viable. We saw EG play him in the defense, and they destroyed with him. They played him both games in a row. They were like, we'll pick up DK again, we'll push your towers at 6, he'll get really farmed, he's going to outcarry whoever you have. That's basically what happens. So that's the only thing in this entire changelog, other than the courier changes, that I'm a little iffy on. Alright, Dry Ranger base agility increased by 4, it's a buff because Dry Ranger doesn't get played. Enchantress movement speed increased by 5. Not completely sure why they did that. Enchantress does see play, not a shitload of play, but some teams love playing Enchantress, and I think she's powerful enough where she maybe doesn't need a buff, but I'm not going to complain about it too much. 5 movement speed isn't a big deal. Model change to the Archimonde model. I believe, I'm confused by this because I thought they already switched that. Unless they changed it back or something. I don't know. I'm confused. Furion, Wrath of Nature. Here's another nerf to one of the other most powerful heroes at the moment. Wrath of Nature cooldown rescaled from 90-60-60 to 90-75-60. Very, very slight nerf. I think part of the reason they did this is because there's not necessarily a really good way to nerf Furion, I guess. I think they'd maybe have to reduce his base damage by a little bit, something like that. Maybe reduce his base damage so his ganking is a little bit weaker in the early game. But basically his level 2 ulti, you can't cast it as much. So I guess it's going to reduce the amount of like gold farmers who just get stupid amounts of farm by having an Aghanims at level 2. Maybe that's what it's going to do, but we'll see. I'm sure he'll continue getting played, and we'll get some more nerfs. Gyrocopter not in Dota 2 yet. Armor increased by 2. He's not played in Dota 1. Sometimes, but not usually. Jakiro, I love the Jakiro buffs. Ice Path cooldown decrease. This is basically the main problem with his Ice Path. 16 to 13 previously. Now it's at 12 to 9. And that's an AoE stun. So I really like this. And Macropyre duration increased from 5 to 7. I don't like Macropyre. I've seen some people use it effectively. I don't really like it a whole bunch. I maybe just don't know how to use it really well. You probably should just spam it in every team fight and hope it does damage, which I guess sometimes occurs. Juggernaut, Omni-Slash random damage improved from 150 to 250, now to 175 to 250, so a little bit more base damage guaranteed. And hit count increased from 358 to 369, and with the Aghanims it's actually moderately improved, getting 2 for each level, except for the first level. So I think that's cool because the Aghanims on him is basically worthless. Keeper of the Light, one hero I kind of forgot about in Dota 1, not in Dota 2 yet. Blinding Light cooldown decreased from 20 to 20, 16, 12, which I think is cool. You can cast that more often in teamfights, and his recall cooldown is decreased from 40 to 15. This is kind of turning the hero into even more of a utility hero. He's very effective in pushing and counter pushing early game, but he's actually kind of shit. He's really shit late game actually. If people get things like Black King bars or, you know, disables, or like a silencer, like he sucks really bad in team fights. So I like that he could definitely fit into push strategies is what I'm trying to say. He could really, really fit into push strategies with recall. This basically TPs someone to your hero, and now you can do it every 15 seconds. You can use that like twice every time you ulti, at least now, instead of just once, which was previously the case. So I think that's really cool. Kunkka, big buffs to Kunkka. Strength growth increased from 2.7 to 3. Means every level gets an extra 0.3. His ship duration increased from 5, 6, 7 to 8. This is the Coco's Realm. It basically like you only take half the damage until after 8 seconds, and then you take the rest of the damage. It doesn't kill you, but it could leave you like 1 HP. The AoE is improved to be consistent, which is really good. I'm glad they started doing that. The torrent slows increased from 30 to 35, and X marks the spot cooldown decreased from 30 to 20, which is good. There was a period in time when Kunkka was top pick ban, but that was pretty early after he was introduced. Crobulus movement speed increased for a passive 3, 6, 9, 12, and now to 4, 8, 12, 16. Very slight buff to her. I think she could see more play. I definitely think she could fit in the metagame. Lanaya, refraction instances increased from 2, 3, 4, 5 to 3, 4, 5, 6. Slight buff to her. She could get played. She has been played in the past, but not very often. Leoric, reincarnation slow duration increased from 3 to 4. I think that's great. And his cooldown was scaled differently. I love this buff to Leoric. I'd love to see him more in competitive. 300, 220, 140, down to 260, 160, and most importantly, 60 at his level 3. It means every minute Leoric could die. I think this is really cool. It makes his ulti actually really useful. Like, he's already counterable. You can drain his mana, and then he can't use his reincarnation. But now it's like every 60 seconds. Like, that is so much better for the hero, basically. I mean, in a lot of ways, any pro team looks at Leoric and they're like, his ulti sucks. Like, is that really that useful? It's really not. But 60 seconds, I think this is going to go a long ways to putting Leoric into the metagame. He already has a good stun. He's a pretty boring hero, but he can do good stuff, and I love this buff. I think this is really cool. Leshrac movement speed increased by 5, and his Pulse Nova AO increased by 50. They basically buff up his semi-weak ultimate. His mediocre ultimate is probably the best way to describe it, and I like that. I do need to make Leshrac videos. One of my favorite heroes, and I never play him now for some reason. Lean Inverse base intelligence increased. She's not played as a support hero very, very rarely. Almost all the other support heroes are played more often. The Dragon Slave travel distance is increased by 100, which I think is good. It's a little short, and the AoE also, for the final one, the level 4, is increased from 125 to 150, which is also good. It's kind of a little narrow. It's a little bit of a narrow Dragon Slave. Lion Mana Drain, level 4, increased from 100 to 120 per second. The Dragon's at 0.25 second intervals instead of 1. I still don't see anybody picking up this ability, but I think that's fine. I think Lion is definitely more than powerful enough. But I think it's good they did this. I think this is really great. Alright, Lord of Avernus, still not in Dota 2, guys. Aphotic Shield will explode at the end of its duration if it has not taken sufficient damage. That's really cool. The cooldown is decreased from 18, 15, 12, 9 to 14, 12, 10, 8. I can't wait till this hero's in Dota 2. I love playing him a lot. It's a really fun support hero. And the cast rate is also increased by 50, which is great. So he's actually a very, very fun support hero. Don't play him as an S and Y Vlad's carry. It's not good. Luna, base damage increased by 5 to make her more of a class cannon. She's actually a really fun carry, but kind of hard to play, pretty squishy. You have to rush a really fast BKB on her. But she can actually, I've seen her in a really cool strat where they did Luna, Rexar, and Vengeful Spirit. It's like 3 damage auras. They all have auras, basically, and they just raxed at like 25 minutes because the auras increased their damage so much. Magnetarn, also not in Dota 2, just like Luna and Lord of Avernus. Skewer cooldown increased by 5, and power duration increased by 10. That's pretty big. And Medusa redid her ulti. It's the same, but they made it better, rebalanced it. The cooldown on Mana Shield removed, not important. Stone Gaze rebalanced, so it no longer changes the scale of the Purge per level. If you guys saw Luminous's Dota Weekly show about this, it basically explained that the total slow duration wasn't actually increased. It was like the slow duration was better at level 1 than it was at level 3. It was something weird like that. Now it's like, the numbers make sense. I'm assuming that's what that means. Instead of checking to stone units over the first 0.6 seconds, it checks over the full 5 seconds. This is a huge buff for noobs, basically. Anybody who plays Medusa in a pub game has been there before. They've been like, yeah, I'm going to use my ulti, and you cast it, and nobody's looking at you. The way it works is, if you're looking at Medusa when she presses the ulti, if you miss that 0.6 second window, her ulti doesn't do anything at all, and you're like, oh shit, like, I didn't accomplish anything there. Now it checks for 5 seconds, which is really cool. I think this is really going to go a long ways to making Medusa possibly a carry. She's still kind of a boring carry. She farms for forever and then eventually wins the game, but it's like, it's kind of boring, and it's not very dynamic or good at doing multiple things. But basically, it's going to continuously check over 5 seconds. Once they're already affected by it, it does not re-affect, so somebody can't just get permastone gaze for 5 seconds. And they scale the damage to do more damage to illusions, which is awesome. And mana cost is more expensive, but scales down to 0, and the cooldown is actually increased. At the early levels at least, which I think is very good, because that's definitely much better ulti now. So I think that's cool. Meepo, one of the hard micro heroes. I will make a Meepo video, I can tell you that, guys. I can tell you guys that much when Dota 2 comes out. I can actually play him okay. Poof damage rescaled 50, 80, 110, 140 to 80, 100, 120, 140. Mirana, fixed Loon's arrow damaging but not stunning invisible units, so I'm cool with this. I just thought it was a feature. I'm happy they did it though, because I think it should stun heroes. Morphling base agility increased by 5 to increase Morphling's viability. His last hitting power at low levels sucks. So I'm actually really happy about this. That's like the main reason I've been playing Morphling, because I can't last hit for shit with him. Adaptive strike cooldown decreased from 20 to 10. We'll see how this works out. Morphling saw a little bit of play in the Malaysian Dota 2 Invitational, but mainstream Euro players never play Morphling. Naga Siren, another carry that's underused. He's not in Dota 2 yet. And snare cast range increased to 650. I love that when they do shit. Like, look how small this changes. 620, 630. Who cares? Make it consistent. That's important. People shouldn't have to know that shit. Song of Siren AoE increased from 750 to 1250. That's pretty interesting. His ultimate was just reworked, and you can actually end it after 0.5 seconds after casting, apparently. So Necrolite, Death Pulse AoE increased to be consistent. Once again, guys, awesome shit. This is probably just like making Dota 1 ready for Dota 2 on all these heroes. This is something that should always be consistent. Like, you should know the range of your AoEs. I never knew. I didn't even know this shit, honestly. I played this game for 3 years, and I didn't know that this shit scaled with levels. Cool, man. I think that's really smart, and now they don't have to include that in the text, with the tooltip text, which is also good. The aura is increased in damage potential. Necrolite doesn't really ever see play, plus he gets destroyed by Anti-Mage. Sadist level 4, this is really cool. Now restores 600 mana if you kill a hero. I love this change. The reason is, Necrolite has tons of mana problems. His ulti, really expensive on mana, like 500 mana, and his death pulses cost like 185 apiece, so basically after you kill a hero, you've already spent like 2 death pulses plus an ulti on him, and you lost like 70% of your mana pool. 600 mana goes a long way to regen your mana, so I think this is really cool buff to Necrolite. You're not going to be as reliant on getting obscene amounts of mana pool or obscene amounts of mana regen. You can basically do something like Vanguard Mech Treads, and it's not a big deal. You can be really survivable as long as you get a kill, your mana gets filled up, and you can keep going. I think that's a really great buff to Necrolite. I'm really happy about this. Nubian Assassin, not in Dota 2 yet. Very good Dota 1 hero. Vendetta cooldown decreased from 90, 75, 60 to 70, 60, 50. The mana burn cooldown decreased a little bit more. Not a big deal. I don't even know if he's in the Dota 1 pool yet, but he got reworked a few times. He's actually a very powerful hero. He's been a very powerful hero for a long time. He basically has Impale like Lion, and he has a mana burn, and he has these spugs that are really good. He's a really fun hero. I'm definitely gonna make a video. He's like mega gank. He's really cool. Obsidian Destroyer, not yet in Dota 2. Sanity's Eclipse now hits units imprisoned by Astral Imprisonment, which is his own ability. Pandarian Brewmaster, Drunken Haze cooldown decreased from 12 to 8, slightly underused, and they tinted his colors. That's fine. Didn't really need that big of a buff. He does see play sometimes. Phantom Assassin almost never sees play on a professional level. The damage is increased for the Stifling Daggers. You can last hit it with it a little bit better. Phantom Lancer, the Doppelwalk movement bonus increased from 10 to 15%. Juxtaposes Illusion Cap increased from 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2, 4, 6, 8. That's actually pretty cool. That's been like that for a long time at the 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a lot more illusions. It's going to make it a little harder for him to handle him as well. And Phoenix, kind of changed a lot about Phoenix. He's pretty imbalanced, so I think this is good. I love playing the hero, but he's definitely imbalanced. His heal amount has decreased to 50% of damage compared to what it was. I don't know if it was 100 before. I think it might have been. You target a location rather than a unit, another big thing, because now it's skill-based. It's not just like you throw spirits on a guy and he dies. It was way too easy to gank with him. And the cooldown is decreased a little bit to make up for these nerfs, which I think is great. And the projectile speed is increased. So I'll have to check this out and see how it works out and see if I like it. But I think this is going to be a much better change for the hero. He was way too easy to use before. You could just not make a mistake, like spam your fire spirits and they would automatically project forever until they hit the guy and then you would die. The dive cooldown also decreased by 5. I think this is really good. His cooldowns were a little ridiculous. And they basically buffed Sunray a little bit. And yeah, if you're not into that, whatever. You can read that, guys. Pit Lord, the most OP hero in the game. No, I'm just kidding. He's really not that good. But he actually saw 2 nerfs here, which I was a little surprised about because he doesn't see any play. So Expulsion Corpse, explosion rate decreased. Oh, wait. No, that should say increase. Increased from 1.25 to 1.5. So that means he heals slower with it. And the mana cost gets a lot more expensive. So this ability was ridiculously OP when it first came out, when they remade Pit Lord a little bit. So that's good they did it like that. Flesh Heap now is an overhead notification, no buff or nerf. He does see play by Dendy pretty much, and maybe a few other teams, but that's about it. Pugna gets a buff, life drain damage increased. Just by little increments. Scepter also gets enhanced, and let the duration increase by 1 second. So just a very small buff to Pugna, basically. He does see play occasionally, but not a whole ton. Queen of Pain base damage increased by 4. Scream of Pain AoE is now consistent. Very cool stuff. Glad they did that once again. Razor static link duration, after it finishes draining, increased from 13 to 18. That's cool. So after the drain ends, you still get to keep the damage, basically, for a much longer, 18 seconds. The cooldown is also rescaled to be lower. Actually, it's basically at the 3rd level, but you get to use that at level 1 now, so that's pretty cool. Roof Trellin, they had to nerf him. The damage per second decreased for his ulti, and the Leech Seed mana cost buffed up a lot. He didn't see a lot of play, or he didn't see any play at the professional level because he wasn't actually in the game. Apparently, I read on Reddit that in high-level Chinese games, he's banned all the time, which is understandable. He was actually very good. Rubik, thank God, I read these buffs and it reminded me of when Ancient Apparition got nerfed. Ancient Apparition's Cold Feet, guys, when he first came out, his Cold Feet mana cost was 90. He could literally drink a bottle, have like 7/9 of another Cold Feet, and just cast another Cold Feet on you. It now costs 150. Like, do you realize how big of a change it is? And what is it for Fade Bolt? Fade Bolt used to be 90, 95, 100, 105. Way too cheap. Now it's 150. Absolutely balanced. This needed to happen. Fade Bolt was by far the most annoying skill in a lane. The most annoying skill in a 1v1 lane situation, pretty much. The cooldown is rescaled to be longer at low levels, which is great. This is basically what it's doing, man. It's going to be less annoying and cheap at low levels, more balance in the mid game. And Telekinesis mana cost drastically decreased to make up for the fact that Fade Bolt costs more, which I think is wonderful. Telekinesis does 0 damage, doesn't need to be 160. I think this is a beautiful change to Rubik. He's another Dota 1 hero. He's not in Dota 2 yet, guys. Sand King Epicenter Slow, no longer blocked by Magic Community, which is pretty cool. And his Finale buff, Caustic Finale buff duration increased 2 to 8 seconds. Shadow Fiend, movement speed increased by 0.5. Shadow Fiend doesn't see play anymore because the Smoke of Deceit basically is too easy to gank. And his agility growth increased by quite a bit, 0.5 buff here. This is a pretty big number. Also, his Necromancy Soul Cap is increased, so basically Shadow Fiend's going to be hitting harder late game. 20 levels times 0.5, that's an extra 10 damage by the end of the game, or in the mid game or whatever, which is not a major difference. A little bit more armor, a little bit more damage. Once again, we're talking about incremental changes that are going to encourage players to use the heroes. Silencer gets some glaives, also a Dota 1 here is not in Dota 2. The glaives damage is buffed. The works better late game, that is. Last Word now functions when Silencer is stunned, and it doesn't trigger items, which is really good. Silencer's really frustrating to play against. I'm not a huge fan of the hero. He's a little weird, but he has his places, I guess. Slark majorly buffed the, in my opinion, one of the worst, but probably one of the worst heroes in Dota, at least in game viability. Pounce damage does a lot more, 280 at max. The cooldown is rescaled to be consistent at 12. The cast range is much higher. I think this is really good. It's going to keep him survivable and doing more damage and getting out of trouble at low levels. And the Shadow Dance is buffed. That's his ulti, and buffed again down here. So Sniper Shrapnel increased by just a little bit. Spectre does no longer disable Blink Dagger, so this is a nerf to Spectre, slight nerf to Spectre. Spirit Breaker is buffed a little bit, buffed once again, and buffed a 3rd time. So buffed a little bit all over. He's pretty much a noob hero, pretty much guaranteed not going to see professional play for anytime soon. Stealth Assassin Oh wow, that's a pretty big buff. Stealth Assassin actually buffed a lot. At level 1 backstab, now is basically equivalent to a level 2 backstab. That's really good. Excuse me. Pretty big Stealth Assassin buff. Storm Spirit even gets a buff. Overload base damage, that's his orb. Well, that's not an orb, but it's his, when he casts a spell, the bonus damage that he does. That's what Overload is, so that's another buff to Storm Spirit. I'm fine. I'm okay with that. I don't think he's overpowered. Sven gets a lot of buffs. Great Cleave does more damage. That skill is very underused. His ultimate is no longer purgeable, using like Diffusal Blade to remove it, which used to be a really useful buff or counter to him, but nobody really plays Sven anymore, so I think it's worth it to buff it again. His ultimate also gets buffed. Pretty good numbers on that. Warcraft duration increased from 6 to 8, and the cast time is removed, which is awesome because it used to basically make him stop moving. And when you only have a 2-second stun, you don't have like the 0.25 seconds to cast Warcry. It's like you need to attack. Laser's miss duration on Tinker goes from 2 to 3. Tiny automatically and permanently equips a tree when he has Aghanim Scepter, and this is what it does. Gives you a little bit of range, 50% cleave, and 1.75 damage towards buildings. You can actually carry with an Aghanim's Tiny. It's pretty cool. I haven't done it very often though, maybe like once or twice. Troll Warlord Fervor increases while attacking towers. I'm actually excited about him being important to Dota 2. I could see him being played in trial lanes and in the metagame. We'll see. It might be a little tough. Tuskar, Snowball cooldown decrease. He's kind of a weird game-breaking hero. I know one kid, Shred Kid on Reddit, is really unhappy about the hero. He is kind of lame to fight against, especially some of the early... He was really lame at start, but he's kind of a weird hero. I'm not very good at him, but I've never seen him in a professional level game, so it's hard for me to say whether or not he's really imbalanced or not. Ursa Warrior, armor increased by 1, buff to Ursa. Like I said, guys, in my video, Ursa's not very good. Enraged damage increased. Earthshock AoE increased, Earthshock cooldown decreased, Fierce Swipe damage increased. Big buffs to Ursa all over the place. Once again, trying to help him get into the metagame is what they are doing. Alright, Visage, a cool hero from Dota 1, and I will play instantly upon him getting into Dota 2. Oops, I have to, sorry about the color thing. Apparently it's been an hour. Disable for 1 hour. Now we can see the colors change again. If you guys are wondering what that is, it's called F.lux. It basically tints the screen to be less bright during the night so that it doesn't hurt your eyes as much, and I've been using it for like a week now, so far so good. Alright, Aghanim Scepter for Visage adds an extra familiar, which is cool, and they buff Soul Assumption. They actually nerfed Soul Assumption for the last couple patches. He was really good in a trial lane, really good in a trial lane. You'll have to go read up how the hero works, but basically he can cast a little bit more often at low levels now, which is good. I think that's probably legitimate. There are technically a lot better roamers than him, so. Alright, Warlock, once again, guys. Oh god, are we really only halfway done? There's got to be other stuff. Oh Jesus. Oh Jesus. Okay. We still got a lot of items to go. Where are we at? Warlock. Flaming Fist, basically the Infernal does better. Damage is increased from the Infernal. Zeus Arc Lightning does more. Lightning Bolt is decreased. Static Field affects creeps now, which is interesting. And it doesn't require unit visibility to take effect, so that means it's going to hit invisible units if they're standing close. And now we're on to the new items. Cool stuff like this changes things a lot. So a lot of item rebalancing. Rod of Atos, 2 Staff of Wizardry, Vitality Booster, 3100. This gives you mana, and it gives you intelligence, which gives you mana, gives you HP, and it gives you cripple. Slows the target's movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. Cast range of 800, cooldown of 20, mana cost 50. Really cool item. I love the implications of this. You obviously use it on heroes like one of the new heroes. What was that guy who I was talking about? Who wants to keep people not moving? This is the item you get for him, especially because this is like a direct item for him. He had really shitty HP. You buy this item because it gives him HP and it gives him intelligence. Intelligence gives him mana so he can spam more spells. These are the items that you buy for it. This would also be a really good hero on somebody probably like Necrolite. I would get it on. Gives you HP, it gives you mana, which lets you cast more, and does damage, whatever. Cool stuff like that. Tank casters are going to definitely benefit from this, especially anybody that needs to chase. So I think Necrolite's probably my best example off the top of my head, other than one of the new heroes would definitely benefit from this. Heaven's Halberd, 3950, requires a Talisman of Evasion and a Sange. No recipe. 20 strength, 25 damage, 25 evasion, lesser maim, same as Sange, and disarm. This is basically, is this for that agility hero? Probably. The one that I was talking about, you remember the fire hero who wants I said tank items and damage, or that dude, the the knight guy who does like the duel or whatever, this would be a good item for him. Like I said, Sange, every time somebody attacks you, they might get Sange procced, and it gives them evasion, so if they attack him, they might even miss in the first place. This would be a really good item. I think this is actually going to be very good on strength carries of any kind. Not that there's a ton of strength carries, but on a hero like Dragonite, you can bet your ass that people are going to start building this item. I can tell you that for a fact right now. I mean, they already sometimes just build a Sange, because Sange can be very useful. You can bet your ass people are going to build Talisman, that they're going to build this item on heroes like Dragonite and Skeleton King. It's like, do I want a Sange and evasion, free evasion? I don't have to buy freaking Butterfly as a strength hero? Yes, it's going to happen. I can guarantee you're going to see this item get played a lot more, especially on tank semi-carries. Guaranteed. It also has an active ability, Disarm, pretty cool stuff. Removes the target's ability to attack for 4 seconds to ranged targets and 3 seconds to melee targets. This is basically like a tank anti-carry item. Pretty much. Boosts up your HP, slows people down, dodges auto attacks. That's exactly what carries do. They're going to use Disarm on them. They're not going to be able to attack for a couple seconds. It's got a really long cooldown. The cast range is pretty far. The mana cost is kind of a lot, 100 here, especially on strength heroes. But this is going to be a cool item. It's going to change things up a lot. It's going to give you even more options against those heroes that are destroying you. It's kind of like a reverse Ghost Scepter. Very, very cool item. I love this item. Awesome item. Icefrog, if you're watching this, thank you for watching. You know, if make me fanboy out, but like, awesome item. Okay. Ring of Aquila, another badass item. All it is a Ring Basilius and a Wraithband making sweet, sweet love. It's beautiful. That's all it does. Look at this. This is exactly what a Wraithband gives you. This is exactly what a Ring of Basilius gives you, if I'm not right. Or if I'm not mistaken. Yes. It's literally the two items together. And immediately I thought of, how many games have I seen where Morphling gets a Ring of Basilius and a Wraithband? Usually not Morphling, but Priest of the Moon dude, soloing in a side lane. That's like every game. They go like Basilius, Phase Boots, double Wraithband. I can pretty much guarantee that on heroes like Morphling or any noob, almost every noob now is going to get a Ring of Aquila. And that's actually awesome for the fact that hope to God that they never get Vlads. They just settle on the Ring of Aquila, because that's definitely, any hard carry does not want to get a fast Vlads. I've talked about that before, but I love this. And it can be disassembled. If you're like, I need a little bit more money, you can disassemble it, sell the Wraithband, keep the Ring of Basilius, or for example, you know, it just opens up so much more space. You can get that Wraithband, or you can get an extra Wraithband, just combine it with the Basilius. It's pretty sweet. I love this item. Cool stuff. Very basic, small stuff. Abyssal Blade, new item, the most expensive item in the game. This is more expensive than a Divine Rapier. Sacred Relic, which is the most damage item, biggest damage item in the game, and a Cranium Basher. Cranium Basher completely underused, so he's going to try to encourage people to use it now. Gives you 100 damage, 10 strength, and it bashes, same as the Cranium Basher, and Overwhelm is the new active ability. Disables a target for 2 seconds. Can be cast on magic immune units. Can. 60-second cooldown. Mana cost is 150, very high, and the cast range is actually melee range, which I didn't see before last time I read this. So basically, I assume disables means stuns. So this is a 2-second stun. This basically gives somebody who's not an int hero an option of getting a sheepstick-like item. So like a semi-carry or a hard carry can now get a sheepstick-like item. Think how good this item would be on a Phantom Lancer. Or not a Phantom Lancer, a Phantom Assassin. Big, big damage numbers. It gives you the bash, which is going to work really good with your attack speed from your blink. And now you can blink in and immediately disable a guy. You don't have to dick around anymore. You can just jump on a guy, take him out, something like that, disable him for 2 seconds, slap him a couple times. I really like this item, and I think it's very appropriately priced. It needs to be really expensive like this for it to be fair. So I think it's really cool. Plus 100 damage, big, big numbers, but I think this item is really awesome. Abyssal Blade. Gonna be good, like I said. Strength, semi-carries, and pretty much any melee hero. I assume the bash is the same rules. Yeah, same as Cranium, so good on melee heroes. Basically, tank against anti-carries, or carries picking this up. Tranquil Boots. This has basically been described as a roaming item. I read this a few places and I absolutely agree. Boots of speed 500, ring of protection is 175, ring of regeneration 350. Very, very cheap boots. There's no boots that are this cheap other than just like the basic boots of speed. Every other boots is about 1500 or 1400, about there. 1400, 1450, and then Arcane is 1500, and Boots of Travel is was 2700, just got reduced. But basically what this allows you to do, gives you a lot of movement speed. 80 is a shitload of movement speed. Phase Boots is 60 base, and then it gives you 10%. I can't remember. Power Treads is 65, regular boots is 55, boots of travel is 95, about to be 100, and arcane boots is 70. So this is really big movement speed. Gives you HP regen, gives you a little bit of armor, just a little bit, and it gives you this active ability. If you take, we'll ignore this first. Restores 150 HP over 10 seconds, so it gives 15 HP per second over 10 seconds, non-combat, and can only be cast on yourself. The cooldown is 40, so it's very high, and the mana cost is cheap at 25, but still a number. 25 is not to be scoffed at. If you take more than 3 instances of damage greater than 20 in the past 10 seconds, the item temporarily breaks and becomes basic boots until the last 10 seconds don't have 3 instances. So this means if you're not taking damage, same source rules as Blink Dagger, this means only heroes. So if you're taking damage from heroes, 3 instances greater than 20 in the past 10 seconds, you cannot use these boots. So they are non-combat healing boots. And this is good for roaming heroes. After you roam, I mean, there's a lot of times where a support hero is going to be in the mid game as like a Vengeful Spirit or a Crystal Maiden or something. You don't have the money to buy a regen item. You're not going to build a Perseverance. You're not going to, you might have an urn, but if you don't have an urn and you don't have a Perseverance, which shouldn't happen, or you don't have a mech or something, you pretty much are limited to going back to the jungle or having somebody else heal you. That's it. So all of a sudden, you can buy these boots, which are very cheap once again. 1025 gives you a little bit of armor, gives you a little bit of HP regen. And all of a sudden, you can gank a lane, and you don't need an urn to survive. You can just, like, run back. You can pop your rejuvenation boots. Think about a tri-lane now. If you get these fast boots up, it doesn't matter if you run out of tangos. You can just play casual. You can sit in the jungle and be like, rejuvenate. Rejuvenate, you know? Takes time, 40-second cooldown, but really awesome addition. Stuff like this, man, makes the game fucking sexy. That's the best way I can describe it. Last buffs, items. This is about all we're left. Boots of Travel rest speed decreased from 2.2k to 2k, which is really great. Definitely extremely underused item right now. There was a point in the game where everybody got Boots of Travel. This was a long time ago, years and years, like 3 years ago. Except for Nature's Prophet, who would get treads because he has his own TP. But the movement speed increased to 100. It's going to make Tinker more viable as well, and players are going to be more likely to pick this up. There's so many good boot choices now, basically. Arcane boots, Tranquil boots, Phase boots, treads, so many good boot choices. It's hard, it's like nearly impossible for players to ever get Boots of Travel because it's so expensive and they just never do it. So this is a good buff, I think. Bloodstone's slightly buffed. I'm not going to pay attention to that, whatever. Bloodstone is a pretty meh item still. Evasion increased on Butterfly from 30 to 35. Divine Rapier increased from 250 to 300, not a big deal. Ethereal Blade, cast range increased, not a big deal. Movement speed for Yule's Scepter slightly increased. Lincoln Sphere, big buffs to Lincoln Sphere, and I love these once again. Awesome buffs. 10 extra damage for component bonuses means the items can be much more reasonable to get on a hero like Weaver. And we may, with these two buffs, no longer triggered by Medallion and no longer triggered by Urn. By far, the two abilities that are just easy as shit to render the Lincoln Sphere useless. From now on, I'm going to say when a Weaver gets a fast Lincoln Sphere, I'm going to be like, cool. He's getting a Lincoln Sphere. I think that's perfectly legitimate. It's not necessarily as good as a Vitality Booster with a hood. It costs, I think Lincoln Sphere costs more money if I do the math quick. Yeah, definitely. Hood Vitality Booster is only 3.1k. Lincoln Sphere is more like 4.5k. So it's a lot more expensive, but it also does give you damage. That's the trade-off. So Lincoln Sphere, more damage, blocks the spell, and now that Medallion and Urn don't proc it, go for it, guys. Get a Lincoln Sphere. If you're playing a pub game, just go for it. Even in a high-level game, I expect to see a lot more Lincoln Spheres. Maybe we'll see Storm Spirits start picking them up again. I would love to see that, actually. Storm Spirits going Lincolns. Magic Wand no longer loses charges when upgrading from Magic Stick. Nice little buff. Berserker's Mask of Madness buffed slightly. A little bit more movement speed. Mjolnir buffed slightly. 4 to 8 chain lightning bounces. Necronomicon buffed once again. This is really good. The Archer's mana burn range is increased. It was kind of a pain in the ass. The Archer would usually have to run after him for a while. The attack damage is increased. The attack damage is increased. Good stuff. Orb of Venom slightly buffed down to 350 cost. I think this is really good. Item is never used, ever. And making it really cheap, I think, is going to go a long way to melee carries picking up pretty early, or melee chasers picking up pretty early. Orchid is reworked. This is a really cool buff. They basically make it only 2 Orchid staffs, or Oblivion staffs, and 775 gold recipes. This makes the item, what is that, 900 gold? 900 gold cheaper, basically. It's only 4k now, which means it's more likely to be picked up by semi-carries, more likely to be picked up by support heroes as well. and it does less damage to compensate the lower cost. But I think that's absolutely adequate. The mana regen is not as good, the damage is not as good, and the intelligence is actually slightly higher. Whatever. But the soul burn is the same, so it's going to be easier for basically for players to pick up this item and use it against heroes like Anti-Mage. So I think this is a really cool buff. It makes it less of a pain in the ass to get that item that would be really good against heroes like Anti-Mage, which is really cool because normally it's like, oh, they have an Ursa. I'm just going to buy a Ghost Scepter. It's only 1600, not a big deal. I can buy this on a squishy support hero. Now it's going to be support heroes or a semi-carry being like, oh, they have an Anti-Mage. You know what? I'm going to go for Mech Orchid this game instead of going for Mech Force Staff Sheepstick because getting a faster Orchid is going to be worth the money. It's not as big of an investment for something that I don't necessarily need. And that's beautiful. Shit like that is beautiful. We're going to see, I can guarantee we're going to see more Orchids played against Anti-Mages because he's going to get ganked. Period. Silence is great against him. Smoke of Deceit. The Dispel for nearby heroes increased by 75. This is good. I think Smoke needed a slight nerf. It's going to make it... It's basically going to make heroes who are easy to gank slightly harder to gank if they're paying attention, which is always important. If you're not paying attention, you're dead anyways. If it's a high-level player and they're paying attention, like if they're soloing a Shadow Fiend mid, they're slightly more likely to survive. They have a little bit more room, and this is important. So I think that's cool. Refresher Orb slightly buffed. Still, nobody's still going to use it with this buff. Stygian Desolator slightly buffed by 300. It's actually pretty good. It's going to make the item a lot more inexpensive. The item will get used more. I think slightly the reason it's not because it's an orb and a buff placer. I don't know if that applies to Dota 2 anymore, but it's a very good damage item now. We'll see this picked up more often. Vanguard once again slightly nerfed. I think this is good. Vanguard's been kind of dominating the scene for the last year and a half or something ridiculous like that. People finally realized how good HP and regen was just to have. Veil of Discord. Slightly, moderately buffed as well. It requires only one Robe of the Magi instead of 2, I believe. So it costs 450 less, which is good because nobody ever used this item. And we got a couple. We're almost done, guys. I swear to God. Where is this? Oh, those are just bugs. Oh yeah, cool. All right, so cool. We are almost done. Almost done. Thank God, we're almost done, guys. Significant changes to couriers. This is going to be a big impact on the game. They now give 150 to each enemy player instead of 300 for the killer. That's a lot of gold. Towers, level 1 towers, guys, 200. So killing a courier, big gold. They no longer drop items when they die, which is pretty cool. But when they die, they respawn 3 minutes after death. The items they have are inaccessible during that time. I think they might need to shift this down to like 2 minutes. 3 minutes might be pretty extreme, especially in the early game. Maybe they should make the respawn timer scale. I think I would love to see that. But I think 3 minutes right now is a little rough. Late game, whatever. Early game, that could be rough. Somebody, especially in pub games, like it's not hard to grief a courier. It's like one of the few things you can still grief in Dota. If like I bought a boots and my ally was being a freaking idiot and got my courier killed, I'm gonna have to wait 3 minutes to buy boots, and that's a big deal, especially in the early game. If you're playing like a solo mid and it's like 6 minutes in and somebody's like, oh, got my boots lost for 3 minutes, I would be pissed. Flying Couriers no longer has invulnerability shield. This is the weirdest part. I was a little scared about this first. And the basic courier now is completely magic immune, like Flying Courier. So most spells did not work on couriers already. So basically, the only way to kill a basic courier is to attack it like once or twice. So it's pretty hard to kill them in the first place, but they can end up dying now. So Flying Courier does not have invulnerability shield. That means late game, people are going to go courier hunting. They're going to be looking for couriers. If you can hit it twice, it's going to die. I think this is going to be interesting. It's going to change the metagame for sure. People are going to be actively looking for couriers occasionally, and it could affect stuff. So I can almost guarantee we might even see people start warding secret shops. That would be interesting, but it might happen. People might start warding secret shops just to check for couriers to kill them because it's a lot of gold, and that would be interesting. But on the bright side, nobody's going to have to rebuy couriers anymore, so that's cool. I think this is a good change. It's going to be weird to get used to. People are going to have to be more careful about couriers. They can't just like dive them late game and be like, oh, we're pushing a lane, send the courier to me, you know? Everybody's going to have to control everything better, which is good. I even need to work on that. But I think this is a nice addition. Alright, and finally, buyback cooldown increased from 4 minutes to 5 minutes. This is great. Less buyback bullshit going on in pro level games, which I think is great. Heroes now respond with full mana. I mean, it's a Dota 1 feature. I'm okay. I'm okay with that going away. Go for it, man. I'm okay with that leaving the game. No problem. Gold over time, it's gonna slightly decrease the time of the game, which is cool. Gold over time intervals increased from 0.875 to 0.8, which means you get slightly, just slightly more gold. That's 0.005 less seconds to get your next gold chunk. I haven't done the math on this, just very, very slight number. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. 0.075 less time before gold increments. So somebody do the math for me. That's basically a 10% increase. Am I right? Approximately 10% increase or decrease in time. It's 8.8. Less than that. It's like 8 to 9%, I think, if I'm doing my math right. Which, once again, just a quick comment, guys. Anybody that does math on a live cast is balls. I'm not just trying to talk myself up. It's really hard to do live math, so please excuse anybody that makes, or me especially, that makes mental math errors. I think it's about 8 to 9% increase in gold over time. This is basically going to help easy mode players adjust. I think Icefrog's going to do this. I'm pretty sure easy mode is dead. If you guys play easy mode, too bad for you. Like, I'm not gonna feel bad for you, because easy mode needed to die. It was something that Ginsu actually put in, the guy who made League of Legends. He integrated easy mode, and it was kind of just the bane of the game, because a lot of people, any new player would basically go play easy mode, and then they would get used to easy mode, and the game is different. It like changes the strengths of a lot of heroes. So I think this is a really good addition. Gonna give slightly more gold to, I mean, it's gonna affect the pro level just slightly, but not a big deal. Alright, runes will no longer spawn the same rune type 2 times in a row. This is basically just for the fact that sometimes you bottle a rune right before 4 minutes and then it comes up again, and that would be kind of frustrating, but not a big deal. Added Treant Protector, Terrorblade, and Tuskar Captain's Mode. Tuskar is going to confuse people. We'll see how that fits into any lineups. We could see some interesting things. Could definitely see some interesting things, guaranteed. And there's a new loading screen, which we will not see in Dota 2. Can we just, like, appreciate how beautiful this is for a second? Like, I'm going to get up close. We have, this is Magus. He looks awesome. This is Luna. That is, I assume, Ancient Apparition, Medusa. Those are her mystic snakes going everywhere. Oh, okay, that's Magus casting it back. That's cool. That's really cool. And this is Lycanthrope, I guess? That looks like Lycan. And this is of, I'm thinking Dragon Knight, I guess. I guess that's Dragon Knight. I guess he's turning into a dragon. Shit's coming out of his back. God, Kunkka is so good. If you guys were wondering why I'm saying Kunkka, there's a hero called Kunkka, and that's named after the artist who made this, who makes this awesome art. Yeah, it's right there. Load screen by Kunkka. Kunkka.deviantart.com makes all the Dota load screens. I am honestly sad that I'm not going to be able to see this, and until I hope they start porting the shit into Dota 2, because I'm going to be sad if I don't get to. It's like one of those little treats about Dota. It's like every update you're like, fuck yes, new loading screens. So something you can just stare at and like love. It's beautiful. All right, go away. Alright, new CM skin for Christmas. Cool, cool. Aren't the graphics amazing, guys? And finally, Pudge Santa model, Christmas World Tree. Santa hats for anyone with a kill streak. Cool stuff. Icon change when Ring of Basilius is in hero only state. Move the Mantis style, move the Flying Courier, just in the recipe shops. New hero pool and CD increased from 28 to 48, which I think is good. Satyr Soul Stealer, mana pool from 400 to 600. This is the medium level Satyr, the one that does the mana drain. It's pretty cool. He doesn't spend his mana anyways, so, I mean, people are talking about buffs to that hero, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. The mana burn is like 50 mana or something like that, if I remember correctly, so it's not a huge buff. I guess that doesn't really impact that. Harpy Storm mana pool is increased from 360 to 540. The Satyr Hell Caller, that is the biggest Satyr. His mana pool is increased by a lot, 300 to 600. I really like this. He's going to be able to cast those waves a lot more. It makes him a much better pushing creep. 3 little blasts is good, but it's not amazing. 6 of them is great. He's going to be much more likely to be picked up, because you can end up spamming that. He can actually farm a lot faster now, possibly more than some other heroes. So or some other neutral creeps. Pretty cool stuff. Forced Healing Troll got a huge buff. He now has a mana aura, 2 MP per second. We're definitely going to see Doombringers picking this up in the early game. Guaranteed. Early game Doombringers crossing their fingers for Forced Healing Trolls. 2 MP per second is ridiculously big. Basilius is 0.65, and Doombringers exactly needs that aura early, so that's going to be a really big buff to Doom. His heal cooldown has a decreased time, but who gives a shit? Nobody uses that for it. They're going to pretty much use the Healing Troll for 2 MP per second. I'm going to see Enchantress is picking this up as well. If somebody needs an MP buff, they're going to pick that up. I would love to see Chen's play them. He's a really squishy creep, but they could use it. Bounty is part of stuff. Removes stock cooldown on TP Scrolls, Dust, and Sentry Wards. Is there such a thing? Dust and Sentry Wards? Really? Cooldown on that? I don't remember that. Add a new Courier Pack Horse. That's basically the Dota 2 one. Updated Shadow Shaman's Mass Serpent Ward animation. We'll have to see what that looks like. Oh. Go, 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 go. confused. Oh, he does something. He's like, yeah! Instead of being like the same animation for everything, he does this like weird thing where he shoots out his hand. Alright, that's what he's doing. That's why I was confused. Cool stuff. Ghost Ship now has a small chance to use an alternate model. I don't know what it is. Probably like Santa's sleigh. I'm guessing. If I'm right, I'm awesome. Compressed ancient apparitions model size. Optimized maps, space usage. Boring stuff. Romanian. Nobody speaks Romanian. Any bugs? I'm just gonna ignore this stuff. Some of it is semi-cool. I'll go over those, I guess. Dream Coil didn't damage, but did not stun Invis Heroes if they broke the tether. This is the same thing as the Priest of the Moon not getting stunned, I assume. I assume it's coded the same way. So that's not going to be an issue anymore, which is cool. Whatever. Very, very small stuff. Alright, that's it. That's a changelog. Thank you guys for watching. Alright, as you saw, very small incremental changes. Really badass items, really badass creative heroes. This is fucking Icefrog. He's awesome, man. This is why Dota still exists. If you guys are coming from League of Legends, if you guys are coming from Heroes of Newerth, this game is balanced as shit. Slight incremental changes, very creative units. Hopefully things will be balanced. Some of those heroes might be overpowered. They're going to pretty much guaranteed some of them are going to get nerfed in the future. But until that point, guys, keep playing. Send feedback to Icefrog. It's icefrog@gmail.com. Do not fucking message him asking him for beta keys. Don't waste his time. You are directly... I mean, I did that once, and I got beta keys. I actually did it twice and only got one reply. But still, don't be a dick, guys. If you're an average person, just be patient. You'll get into the game. The less emails he has to sift through, the closer that they're going to get to releasing the game. So thank you for watching, guys. This is Purge once again. Cats for Ghost 2 Gamers. I do a lot of random stuff on YouTube. Appreciate for watching, and once again, Icefrog's awesome. That is what this video is about. These are all the changes. I gave you all my opinions on all that stuff. Leave me comments. I'm happy to reply to comments that are really really good questions or something I didn't mention. And I promise I'm going to get some good videos out this week. Sorry about the slacking. YouTube's finally offering me a partnership. That means I can actually have a real job, which is pretty cool, at doing this. So I'm really excited about that. So keep spreading the word. I appreciate it. If my view counts keep going up, I can finally have more spending money or like actually travel or buy more nice stuff like this webcam. So I won't have to wait for Christmas and shit. So I'm really excited about that. I'm working on a couple contract things right now, so I have to. I've been very busy the last week and working with a lot of other people. So I promise I'm gonna get more videos out. I need to like segment my time a little bit more. So sorry that I was kind of slacking the last 2 weeks. I feel like I didn't put out very many videos, but I promise I'm gonna get some out this week, guaranteed. I'm gonna be playing more games. I'm actually gonna play some Dota 1 games. Believe it or not, I'm putting them on my channel. I don't even give a shit. I want to play these new heroes. Pretty much guaranteed gonna play these new heroes. So you guys are gonna be a little thrown off, but I don't really give a shit. I need to post those videos. I want to play Dota 1 now. It's like I actually feel like playing Dota 1 again, so I'm gonna do it. Okay, I think I've rambled enough. Thank you guys for watching. It's probably like an hour and a half of a video, but once again, thanks for sitting through here. And if you guys haven't yet, please press the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. It helps growing my channel and helping me to make this a professional level career. So I think that's it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, guys. I will see you later.